Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to read a story which is an English folk tale story, Dick Whittington. I hope you will all enjoy it. There was once a boy named Dick Whittington who lived in the English countryside. Dick was very, very poor. He had no money to mend his shoes when they wore out. He could never find much to eat. He didn't even have a home to take shelter when it rained. I need a job. So Dick looked for work. He asked boatmen, builders, and blacksmiths, but no one he met on his travels needed any help. One morning, Dick saw a farmer working in a field. "Can you give me a job?" he asked. "Sorry, nothing here, lad." "Why not try asking in London instead?" said the farmer. Dick had heard of London. It was a big city, many miles away. "I've never been there myself," said the farmer, "but they say the streets are paved with gold." "Gold," thought Dick. "I could make my fortune. Then I'll buy fancy clothes, piles of yummy food, and a big house." He thanked the farmer and set off. Dick walked for miles and miles and miles, but when he arrived in London, he got a shock. The streets weren't made of gold at all. "They're just plain old dirty stone," said Dick sadly. Dick had no choice but to look for work once more. He asked bakers, butchers, and boot menders, but it was the same as before. No one needed his help. Soon it started to get dark, so Dick searched for somewhere to spend the night. He curled up on the steps of a grand-looking house. It wasn't long before he was fast asleep. The next morning, Dick was woken up by the sound of a very loud voice bellowing in his ear. "Get off my lovely clean steps!" A woman was standing over him, waving a rolling pin. "Get out of here!" she yelled. Before Dick could move, a richly dressed man came out of the house. "Go back to your work, Mrs. Curry." "Are you all right, son?" he asked. "Do come inside." Dick had never been in such a fine house before. It was full of the most beautiful things he'd ever seen. "Wow!" "Welcome to my home," said the man. "My name is Mr. Fitwarren, and I'm a trader. My ships buy and sell things all over the world." He showed Dick a chair from France, a vase from China, a statue from Africa, and a big wooden chest all the way from India. After Mr. Fitwarren had heard Dick's story, he felt sorry for the young boy, so he gave him a job in his kitchen. Dick spent the day washing pots, cleaning floors, and peeling carrots. It was long, hard work, but Dick was happy with his new life, and all the other servants in the house were kind to him. "Good job, Dick. Well done, lad." "Well, almost all." "Out of my way, scruffbot." After his first day's work, one of the kitchen maids showed Dick to the attic at the very top of the house. He'd never had a room of his own before. Hooray! A proper bed at last! The attic was small, but Dick didn't mind. He climbed into bed and snuggled under a big warm blanket. Ah, lovely and comfy. But just as he began to fall asleep, he heard a loud squeak. It was coming from down below. Dick peered over the edge of the bed. Suddenly, a mouse squeezed out of a hole in the floorboards. Squeak! Followed by another and another. Soon the attic was full of noisy mice. Dick couldn't get a wink of sleep. It was the same thing every night. At first, all was quiet, but just as Dick's tired head hit the pillow, the mice came out of their hidey holes. The annoying mice were driving Dick crazy. "I must get rid of them," he thought, "or I'll never go to sleep again." A week later, Mr. Fitwarren gave Dick his first ever pay. "Here you are," he said, handing Dick a shiny coin. "Wow, a whole penny?" Dick couldn't wait to go out and spend his hard-earned money. That afternoon, Dick visited the city market. There were hundreds of stalls, all packed with goodies. Cream cakes, bread rolls, even personal music player. Then, on the far side of the market, he spotted just the thing he needed. A cat will keep those noisy mice away, thought Dick, taking out his penny. So he handed over his week's wages to the stall holder. Then he chose the biggest cat from the basket and ran home. "We'll show those pesky mice," said Dick, stroking his new friend. That night the mice appeared as usual, but this time Dick was ready for them. "Go get him, Tom." Tom darted around the room and chased the mice back into their holes. Dick breathed a sigh of relief. "At last I can get a good night's rest," he thought to himself. Dick and Tom curled up together and were soon sound asleep. The next day, Mr. Fitwarren gathered the servants together in his study. Dick wondered what he was going to say. "One of my ships is going on a trading trip," announced Mr. Fitwarren. "If you have anything you want to sell, it can go on the ship. She sails at 6 o'clock tonight." Dick thought for a moment. He only had one thing to sell, his cat. Maybe he wouldn't need Tom now all the mice were gone. "Perhaps someone will give me 2 pennies for him," thought Dick. He put Tom onto the cart that was going to Miss Fitzwarren's ship, but as it drove away, Dick began to wonder if he had done the right thing. That night, Dick couldn't sleep. He felt bad about selling Tom, and now the mice were back too. The next day, Dick wandered around the house in a sleepy daze. "Wake up, you lazy boy," growled Mrs. Curry, the cook. "Work harder, or I'll report you to Mr. Fitwarren." From then on, Mrs. Curry made Dick work twice as hard as anyone else. After a month of Mrs. Curry's nagging, Dick was fed up. "I'm going back to the countryside," he thought to himself. So early one morning, he slipped quietly out of the house before anyone else was awake. He walked and walked until he reached the outskirts of London. Just then, the church bells rang out. "That's strange," thought Dick, pricking up his ears. "The bells sound like they're calling to me. 'Turn again, Whittington, thrice Mayor of London.'" Dick was amazed. "They seem to be telling me to go back. And they're saying I'll be the Mayor of London 3 times. How odd!" Dick could hardly believe his ears, but then he went back to Miss Fitzwarren's house all the same. When he got there, he found Mr. Fitwarren waiting for him at the doorstep. "Congratulations, Dick," boomed Mr. Fitwarren, holding up 2 bulging bags. "You are a very rich young man." "Rich? Me? How?" "The King of Barbary bought your cat," explained Mr. Fitwarren. "His palace was full of mice," continued Dick's old boss. "Tom chased them off." Mr. Fitwarren handed Dick the 2 bags. When he opened them, Dick found they were stuffed full of shiny gold coins. "They're all yours," said Mr. Fitwarren. Dick used the money to buy and sell things just like Mr. Fitwarren. He was a big success. By the time he had grown up, Dick was one of the richest men in the city. What's more, the bells were right. Dick did become the mayor of London 3 times, and he was the best one ever. So that is the end of the story, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it listening to the story. And it was just a wonderful story from this book. Asburn Illustrated Stories from around the world. And I will see you again in my next video with another fun story from this book. Thank you again for watching.